Hello everybody, and should you join the Air Force? My name is Airman First Class Jones, and I'm a civil engineer with the United States Air Force. I've now been in the Air Force for over 3.5 years, and it appeared to me that most of these videos on YouTube were from airmen that maybe have been in a year, straight out of tech school, straight out of BMT. It didn't seem like they had enough knowledge to kind of put forth out to the public about the decision of joining the Air Force. Not to downplay them or anything or say they're wrong, but I've been in almost 3.5 years. My contract's almost up, 4 years, and I just wanted to shed some light on that, since I've almost completed my term and many of you are about to begin yours, or at least get the right information on whether you want to join or not. I'm here to tell you basically the last 2 years have been pretty negative for me personally. This is not going to be anything about me. This is purely about the Air Force. So this is an unbiased review. My feelings aside. So I'm just hoping somebody can take what I got to share and use it to educate yourself. Basically, I'm going to go over the pros of joining the Air Force. Okay, this is straight across the board. Like, as I've seen, 3.5 years of active duty service. The education in the Air Force is great. Okay, you got to take advantage of it if you are going to join for an education purpose. There's lots of programs. While you're in, there's tuition assistance, and that basically gives you $4,500 a year, and they cover 100% of tuition and whatnot. That's plenty of money for the amount of time that you have free time to do school and work and whatnot. Also, there's the GI Bill, which is many of you know about. It's the main reason people even join. And then there is the loan repayment program. Let's say you already have an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, but you racked in all the school loans beforehand, before joining, and now you want to join. Well, there's a loan repayment program, and that helps you with that. I'm no professional in any way, shape, or form on those programs, but those are the programs that are preached to us every few months, and I have personally a good idea, but I'm not a professional to spread that to you guys. Some of the other pros: healthcare. Whether you're single, married, have kids, whatnot, the healthcare seems to be almost unbeatable compared to the civilian world. In the civilian world, you got deductibles. You got to pay yearly, which could be hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. If you've ever lived on your own past high school, had to deal with healthcare in any way, emergency room, stitches, whatever, you know that it's expensive. In the military, healthcare is covered 100%, straight across the board. For instance, me, I crashed a motorcycle just last year. I broke a collarbone, 3 ribs, had some internal bleeding, and I was in the hospital for 4 days. Well, I got the bill later on, $17,000 for 3 days in the hospital. Alright, thank you, TRICARE in the military. That was one giant pro that I will never forget. $17,000 bill came to my door, and I handed it to the medical, and they paid it 100%. That's awesome. Another great pro is you get free job training. The one thing I can't stress more to people who are trying to decide if you want to join the Air Force or not is to pick your job. A recruiter may not necessarily lie to you or fully tell you the truth, but there's the open general slot, open mechanic slot, open whatever it is, okay? And they'll be like, oh, we can get you in the Air Force in the next 2-3 months. You know, you don't have to wait the normal 8-9 months. And a lot of people will fall for that, and they go in as an open job. So I mean, a pro, yes, you get free job training, and I can't just stress enough, pick your job, okay? You're doing this for either the next 4 or 6 years of your life, okay? Let's say you had to redo high school, 4 years, but you're putting all the opposite classes you would want to take. You know, that's just my way of putting it. So yes, free job training, but pick your job. Do not go in open. I didn't personally go in open, but a lot of people I talk to that have gone in open regret it every day, and they've had bad experiences with the military. And that could be just because they didn't choose a job. Another pro in the military is pay and allowances. So basically, basic military pay for when you first join from E1 to E3 is pretty much shitty pay, to be honest. I make like $750 every 2 weeks. The things you gotta look at though is you're getting free rent and you're getting free food. When it comes to time when you're E4 or above, or if you are E1 and up and you're married when you initially join, you'll get BAS, which is basic allowance for subsistence, basic allowance for housing. So roughly that'll be an extra $1,400 right there going to your pay to pay for housing off base and food for you and your family off base. Another pro, job security. As long as you can maintain yourself in the Air Force physically and mentally, job security is not a problem. You can stay out of trouble, away from law problems, anything like that. Your job is pretty much secure. In the outside world, not necessarily. A company can go under, it can fold, claim bankruptcy, whatnot. You're just fired. Okay, they're gonna let you go, and they're gonna do what they gotta do. There is a pretty strong job security in the Air Force, in the whole military in general, but I'm here to talk about the Air Force since I'm in it. The Air Force takes care of its people. Like I said, medically wise, mental wise, they got mental health clinics, they got dental, they got everything. It's all covered 100%. These are things that you can see psychiatrists, therapists. You're getting medicine if you need it. You're getting hearing tests, CPR classes, all those types of things, and you're getting it all for free. These are certifications, these are health records, everything like that, which in the civilian world will cost you quite a bit of money to see all the people you can see in the military for free. And they're doing it just to help you get to do your day-to-day basis, basically. So I consider that a pro. Lastly, I don't know if it's the biggest, but the pro I see is you get to meet people from all over the world. You get to see their values. I grew up mainly in Washington State, so it's more of a democratic state, and I'm not going to talk about politics at all, but you know, you're getting a lot of people from Texas or every other state, and they just got completely different views. I think it's personally kind of cool because you get to meet people from all over, see their views, how they were raised, and whatnot. I like it. But now I'd like to talk about a different area, not a pro or a con, but a gray area that a recruiter may talk to you about. The gray area is what I would say is misconceptions. There are things that may or may not happen. For instance, they advertise travel in the Air Force. Okay. Yeah, I went to basic training in Lackland Air Force Base, which everyone goes to. So if you want to consider that traveling, okay, I traveled to Texas, and I was from Washington State, so okay, I traveled. Then I traveled to Gulfport, Mississippi for where my tech school was. Okay, so basically I've traveled to Texas for school, for BMT, and then I transferred to tech school, which is mandatory for everyone. Everyone has to go through a basic training and a tech school. Okay, I don't really consider that traveling because you're just doing, you're just getting your training in. But after that, after my tech school, I went to, now I'm in South Dakota. The recruiters will say you have a dream sheet. You can say, 8, 10 bases, I don't know what it is, but that you would prefer to go to. You are not guaranteed any of those. Okay, if a recruiter tells you you are, they're wrong. I had 7 overseas bases and 1 or 2 bases in the United States, and they were nowhere near South Dakota where I am stationed now. Okay. If I was to live anywhere stateside, I joined to travel, but if I was to live anywhere stateside, it would be on the West Coast. I like it, or Hawaii or whatnot, but I got stuck in South Dakota. Shit happens. Air Force has to fill their quotas, okay? So there's nothing you can really do about it once you get your orders at tech school. Just got to deal with that. Deployments. I've been in 3.5 years. I haven't deployed. That's not necessarily saying I was a bad airman. I did anything wrong or anything like that. But my whole goal when I joined the Air Force was to deploy. So in my case, this gray area of is a deployment a con or a pro? It'd be a con for me because I wanted to deploy. That's all I really wanted to get out of the Air Force was deployments. So if you join and you are so scared about deploying, a lot of times you don't have to worry about it because I know a lot of people that have been 5, 6 years that have never deployed. I wanted to deploy, raised my hand every single time, and I never got the opportunity to do that. That's that. Also, deployment doesn't necessarily mean you're going to Afghanistan or Iraq or those areas to fight ISIS. Okay? Deployment can mean a lot of things, and this counts for every service. Every service has their deployments, and it's a misconception because before I joined, I thought a deployment is, oh, I'm going to war with Afghanistan, I'm going to fight the Taliban. That is a deployment. No. Navy Marines, they deploy to the Philippines, they deploy to, a lot of those island places, I don't know, Japan, over there. That can be considered a deployment. For us in the Air Force, there's also weird non-places that you can deploy, like I know some people that deploy to Brazil. It's not somewhere that I would think is a deployment before joining, but just to let you know, if you're joining to go gung-ho and fight ISIS or fight the Taliban, this might not be the best option. You might want to choose the Army or the Marines if your whole goal is to deploy. Also, in the gray area of pros and cons, depending on how you lived before this decision of maybe joining the Air Force, there is no 2-week notice. There is no, oh, I'm quitting today. You signed a federal contract for 8 years, okay? Plain and simple. You can ask your recruiter about it if you've been talking to them. It's 8 years, okay? But the thing is, you could either do 4 years or 6 years of active duty. But every member who signs a contract in the military is signing an 8-year contract. Let's say I signed 4-year active duty, which I did, and I only have a half a year left, which I'm thankful for. But let's say World War III just popped off, and every country's going to war and they need people. Alright, you did technically sign an 8-year contract, it's just 4 years of that is normally inactive service. Like, you don't do anything military related, you're not held to their standards. But if World War III popped off and they needed their people, you're one of the first to call because you are technically under contract for 8 years. Not likely, but it can happen. And that's why I would always just recommend signing the 4-year contract. Alright. Now to get into the cons. The cons of joining the Air Force that I've seen personally over the last 3.5 years, you might get a shitty job. Like I said, pick your job. You're doing this for the next 4 to 6 years. If you have no idea, you're coming straight out of high school, you have no idea what you want to do not just take the easy route and your recruiter tells you, oh, I can get you in 2 months. No. Research the 150 or 200 jobs, whatever they advertise, and look at something that at least interests you. Okay, take an ASVAB test. If you didn't score high enough, go get some study material and retest and get your scores you need to get that job that shows you interest, because getting a shitty job can affect your whole entire 4 or 6 years, whatever you join for, and it can lead to a lot of bad decisions, it can lead to getting kicked out, it can lead to a lot of bad things. And your whole persona of like spreading a bad message about the Air Force to other people because of your bad time. The Air Force is not a bad place. It's just not meant for everybody. So I can't stress more than to make sure you choose your job. Another thing I've noticed as a con for me personally, I joined for camaraderie, to be a part of like a brotherhood. Like you see Band of Brothers, all those types of shows, TV shows, everyone seems so close and they're all always together. This might be different per base, but at the base I'm at, there's no camaraderie. I mean, none. That's what I've gone through, and that's not me getting singled out or nothing like that. That is, we do not have we don't have union events that often. Like, not how it's like glamorized as everyone's your family on TV, okay? In the Air Force at least, I mean, it might be in the Marines or the Army or Navy, whatever. This is the Air Force that I'm talking about, and this is my base and my experience. It could be all over the Air Force, I don't know. If you're more of a spontaneous, spur-of-the-moment type of person, that you will react like that to make a scarce kind of decision, that you even have a second thought that you might get in trouble. Those kind of attitudes and characteristics need to change before you do join. It's not it's very frowned upon in the Air Force, as well as like party goers. A lot of people joined. I joined because you see on TV, you see the movies, people out drinking, they're all in uniform, drinking, having a good time, they're all partying. There's the serious aspect of the military, which I joined for, but I also wanted to have more of like a camaraderie and party type style too. At least I've heard overseas bases, they have better times, but where I'm at, there ain't none of that. Like, you're drinking, you're on the fast track to be sent to mental health for like an evaluation because you drink more than 2 beers. Like, that's just the reality. I mean, that's just a con that I see in the Air Force. You might hear your recruiters as well. This is another con. You might hear your recruiters say stuff like, oh, if you calculate how much money I make per year, and he might be a tech sergeant or something, I make over $90,000 a year, because that's what my recruiter was doing. They were all trying to get me amped up, like 90 grand. I mean, yeah, that number sounds so appealing to you coming out of high school, or even a couple years after high school. 90 grand? No. Maybe if you used every dime of every kind of benefit you have, maybe then you would have 90 grand. But for me, I get a W-2 every year for the last 3 years, and it says like $21,000. Okay? So whatever they're saying, it has to be exaggerated, or they've done lots of medical work every year to their bodies or something. Like, I don't get how they justify those numbers at all. Personal opinion. But when you do get BAH and BAS, which I was saying, for money for housing and food, that does add up quickly to like maybe around 30, 40,000 instead of, but I just don't get that 60, 70, 80, 90 that they recruiters start talking about. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't see it. But also criminal offenses in the military. If you come from a place where I don't know. I don't really know how to put this, but if you do anything criminally, and I'm not saying you're a bad person, like, it's more of a double punishment when you're in the military. You're basically being punished kind of like under civilian courts, but in a military court, which basically slams it ×2, because you should know better. You're held to a higher standard, and that's the way it is. I've seen people go to jail for smoking weed for 2-3 months. Something that on the West Coast, where I'm from, if you get caught smoking weed, you might get fired from your job. That's it. You don't just get fired from your job. In the military, doing something as small as that can result in jail time. It can result in being discharged with a bad conduct discharge, which can affect your whole life. Like, just you have to be mentally prepared when you join the Air Force. That is one of the biggest things I can not stress more. You need to be ready for it. And if you're just straight out of high school and you're just full of partiness and that's all you want to do, you're looking more into like possibly getting in trouble. I'm not saying you will, but I see it all the time. It's just stupid decisions are made when you're partying. A fight at a party gets reported. Okay, you could lose a stripe. You could lose anything. Like, I say the biggest con of being in the Air Force in general is the fear of, like, losing your career. You could work 2-3 years to earn a stripe, but you can get it taken away in a day for just a fight at a bar, a fight at a party. Something seems so minute can really just have a huge impact on your whole morale, your whole experience in the military, and put you in a sour mood. Ultimately, it's your fault you got in a fight or whatnot, but it seems minimal, but in the military it's amplified ×20, in my opinion. Also, I joined for fitness. Initially joined for special forces pararescue. I didn't make it in that, but I was already really physically fit, so just like a con, in my opinion, would be having less fit people tell me how to work out once I was retrained into another career field, because I was just smoking everybody, but they would want to tell me how to correct stuff when I'm out running them, out pushing up them, sitting up them. That was just annoying to me. That's my personal. But I see it all the time. So ultimately, I want to wrap this up. Pros. Okay, you got good education, you got healthcare, free job training, you got paid moves, BAS, BAS, your base pay, you got job security. You take care of the people. And you get to meet people all over the country, which is something you don't get to do in everyday jobs. There's the gray area, the misconceptions, like traveling. That's not a guarantee. I'll tell you 100%, I've had zero opportunity to travel anywhere. Okay, I got sent to South Dakota, and I've been there since tech school since July of 2012. Now it's February 2015. All right. Deployments, I haven't had a chance to. That's what I joined to do, and I haven't got to. And there's no ability to quit. That's just the gray area and the misconceptions. Cons, you might get a shitty job, resulting in a shitty mental state for the next 4 to 6 years. There's not much camaraderie. Can't be really a spontaneous party-goer person and have a successful career. Money might not be great for the first few years, and offenses can be tripled, quadrupled, whatever you want to say, but it's amplified by tons if you do anything wrong that doesn't even seem big. So ultimately, what I want you to take from this is I want you to weigh the pros and cons. Like, if you're straight out of high school, or if you've been out of high school for a few years, and you've worked and you're just so tired of that day-to-day job, and you just want to try something new. Okay, a recruiter is going to pressure you into a 6-year contract. Oh, you'll get A1C, E3 after tech school. Oh, it's so great. No, that's a $200 raise to fork up possibly 2 more years of pain and suffering if you get a base or a job that you don't want. There's nothing worse than that. I've seen it. I signed up before, and I'm so glad, and people are envious of me all the time. Okay? 4-year is the way to go. It is the test trial to see if the Air Force is for you. Also, at 4 years, you're eligible to re-enlist. If you want to re-enlist, you get a re-enlistment bonus faster. So a re-enlistment bonus could be like 20, 30 grand. It could be. I'm not saying it will be, but it could be. So that'd be a nice chunk of change to just get at your 4-year mark. You don't get all at once, but it's split up. But you get 30, 40 grand to re-enlist, and that's what you want to do, is re-enlist, if that is what you want to do or whatever. And but 4-year is the way to go. Otherwise, you're going to wait 6 years to re-enlist, and who knows, the re-enlistment might be different then. You might not even get any money to re-enlist. I just saw it recently. A guy I work with, he had a 4-year contract, and he got 58 grand to re-enlist for 4 more years. Alright, well, another guy that was signed up for 6 years and had to re-enlist 8 months later, well, the re-enlistment had changed to 0. So this guy, who had signed up before originally, lucked out by like about 8 months, and he got 60 grand more than this guy that just re-enlisted for $0. Air Force is changing every day. It's just the way it is. I'd like for you guys to look within yourselves. What do you enjoy to do, and what are your values? Are you close with your family? Are you, what do you like to do? These are questions you need to ask yourself. Write down on a sheet, and you need to say, hey, I value family 100%, and I can't see myself without them. The military is going to take you from your family, and they're going to put you somewhere, and you're going to be away from them. Okay? You need to understand that, and I mean, you need to fully process that. Okay? You need to set yourself up mentally and physically before you leave to go to basic training. And what I mean by mentally is, okay, for instance, I hate waking up early. Okay? Well, every day at basic, I woke up at 4:45 for PT. That is early. Okay? I had no training of that. Okay, I'm just going to say, let's say you have 30 days out until you leave for basic. Wake yourself up at 4:45. Just get your body used to it for about a month beforehand, and just once it comes time, 4:45 will be cakewalk. You'll just be like, oh, I'm up, like normal. Physically, the standards aren't very high. if you're having trouble physically, just go find somebody that you know is physically fit and ask to run with them, push-ups with them, sit-ups with them, what you need to do. If your waist measurement's a little high, you can take a fat burner or go see a nutritionist or whatever you have to do. But prepare yourself mentally and physically for the military, because it can only lead to problems. At basic, they're going to threaten you all the time. Oh, blah, blah, blah. It's all threats, okay? It's all games. But injuries are real at basic. And injuries are because you didn't prepare yourself. Yeah, you might be able to run 1.5 miles, which is the standard, but like, people get ankle injuries. I saw it all the time at basic. Ankle injuries, leg injuries. You know why? Because they didn't run. They knew they could run 1.5 miles, but they weren't used to running every day. At basic training, you're running every day. So, and they do sprints and they do just straight up 1.5 mile runs, and then you'll get tagged by a color. If you're faster, you're in a different color group than slower people and whatnot. But your body needs to get used to running every day, not sitting on a bike and working your legs. That can be an addition, but you need to be running every day for at least 2 to 3 months before you leave to go to basic. And that is my best tip to you on mental and physical preparedness, I guess. Also, are you married? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you married? Are you ready to be away from your family for an extended amount of time? Stress is a huge thing in the military, and it starts at basic. That's it. You see on the movies and everything like that, stress. You see those people come back from Iraq or whatever, and they're all messed up. I saw people starting to get messed up after a week at basic, because they had never been away from their families. That ties into the mental and physical preparedness of joining. You need to be ready to move away from the nest or leave everything and go. You need to be just, military is where I'm going and I'm going to succeed. That's it. Okay? You need your goals in line. So if you're married, I saw tons of Dear John letters in basic, and that was crazy because they were starting to roll in after a week, and people have been dating for months. I mean, months, years, whatever. They're getting letters after a week of these guys being basic with me. I'm like, didn't seem legit. Like, I didn't understand. And then, yep, just happens all the time. Rash decisions are made then. Emotion takes over. That's when you gotta just remember your goals. You're in the military, you joined for a reason, and that's what you're doing. So there are pros, there are gray areas, and there's cons to joining the Air Force and being in the Air Force as a whole. It's not for everybody's personality, okay, and everybody's lifestyle. You need to look into your lifestyle. What do you look to do, and look at what the Air Force values are, and you need to like really compare and see if you're going to be a good fit, or if you can change your lifestyle to be a good fit for the Air Force, or choose another branch. Because if you want to deploy, join Marines or Army or Navy SEALs or something. Like, join something that you know will deploy, if that's your whole sole goal. If your whole sole goal is education, join the Air Force. I mean, it's hands down. We have 100% tuition assistance at the moment. The other services don't. If you already have a bachelor's degree, the last thing I'm going to say here is that if you already have a bachelor's degree, don't make the mistake and join enlisted. If you've already got your bachelor's degree, chances are you went to college, you got all the partying out of you, you're probably 24, 25, maybe 26, 27, I don't know, in your later 20s, mid-20s, and you got the partying kind of out of you and you're ready to settle down. Go to OTS, Officer Training School. That is where you just have to have a bachelor's degree, but I'm going to tell you, officer pays off. Okay, you might hear your enlisted recruiters, if you've hung out with them a few times, make jokes about officers, but you know what? They make twice the amount of money right off the get-go. Okay, they get more BEH for housing because they're an officer. officers are well more taken care of in the military, and really all that stands apart is the fact that they're willing to take up a more responsibility, I guess you can say, and they have a bachelor's degree, which is going to be probably paid off by the loan repayment program. So ultimately, they went to school for free too. Might just be a little slower process or whatnot, But I'm not an officer to really fully say that kind of stuff. So, but from my visual perception over the last 3.5 years, if you already have a bachelor's degree and you're thinking about joining, go officer. Your recruiter might say, "Oh, officer, it's going to be about a year wait, maybe a 2-year wait to get into school. But I can get you in 2 months with a listed." No, there's like a saying out there: good things happen to people that wait. Okay, and that the officer route is where you want to wait. I'm not joking. You will be catered to like a child for the rest, like the next 20 years. Officer, yeah, it can be hard on them mentally because they're responsible for everything, and every action that goes wrong can ultimately be brought up to an officer plate as their fault for not, controlling any kind of situation. But what can you do? But officers are the way to go, 100%. Your retirement is going to be about double everything. So to wrap it up, I'm not here to talk. I'm not trying here to bash the Air Force. I'm not trying here to really talk it up. I'm not a recruiter. This is my insightful information that I hope you can take with you and make a wise decision. I'm just saying, overall, look within yourself and your traits and why you really want to join and what you want to get out of it. And don't join an open career field. Pick a job that interests you at least a little bit. Oh, this guy has missiles. Oh, I want to learn missiles. It's just anything that interests you, okay? And 4 years is the way to go, 100%, hands down. 6 years is no benefit. You get your rank 6 months earlier, no. It's not worth an extra 2 years of possibly being miserable somewhere, okay? But I hope you guys can learn something from this and, move on and make a wise decision. Air Force is a good place, but it's not for everybody. Thanks.